Okay, but really though, who hasn't gotten totally sucked into those crazy detailed gaming strategy videos on YouTube? You know the ones, right? You start watching thinking, oh, just one quick tip, and next thing you know, it's 3 a.m. and you're an expert on like virtual deck building or something.
It's such a rabbit hole, right? But what's so interesting is how some people, they climb out of that rabbit hole and they think, hey, I could do that. I could make that kind of content.
And that right there, that's what today's deep dive is all about.
Yeah.
We're going behind the scenes of the whole gaming content creation world. And to do that, we're diving into the story of Senor Alex Fuel. He's made a career out of gaming, but he doesn't try to make it seem all rosy. He's called it both a blessing and a curse, which, to be honest, just makes me want to hear more about his story.
Yeah. His journey is honestly a really good example for anyone in content creation. It doesn't matter what you're creating. He started out just like so many others, completely obsessed with those card game strategy videos, things like Magic, The Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh, all of that.
He was all about that life. But he wasn't just passively watching them.
No, not at all.
He was dissecting those videos like it was his job.
Exactly.
Figuring out every detail of the strategy, the psychology behind each move, why certain things worked. It's like he was doing a deep dive before the deep dives even existed.
Seriously, like, talk about a mind that's basically built for this, right? And I think that's what really makes a great content creator, being able to not just experience something, but to pick it apart and figure out why it works and then how to teach it to other people. But as Senor Alex Fuel learned, and he learned this one the hard way, passion and a sharp mind only get you so far.
Because then you've got to face the real final boss. And that boss is the YouTube algorithm.
Oh, yeah.
It's this invisible thing that controls who even gets to see what you create. And, well, it can be brutal.
It's true. And it's probably the single most universal challenge that anyone trying to build an audience online has to deal with. You pour your heart and soul into a video, spend hours editing, making it perfect, and then nothing. Crickets. It's like you're shouting into a void. It's exactly what Senor Alex Fuel said about it, too.
I've been there. And it is so disheartening. You start questioning everything. Is what I'm making even good? Am I doing something wrong?
Yeah.
It's a huge test of whether you're really dedicated, especially in those first few months.
And this is where Senor Alex Fuel's story gets really interesting. He was making, or at least he thought he was making, good content, but it just wasn't going anywhere. It wasn't getting any views. He realized that he needed to figure out the secret code of the algorithm. It wasn't enough to be good at card games. He had to learn how to play the game of YouTube.
So meta, right? Like It's a game on top of the game he's already playing.
Totally.
And that's where his analytical mind really shines through. He starts experimenting with things, digging into the data, and he ends up finding this really crucial detail about the algorithm.
Yeah, at the time, he noticed that even though he personally loved those super in-depth strategy videos that he was making, the algorithm, it much preferred, and I'm sure you've heard this before, it liked snackable content. Shorter videos, very edited, fast-paced, stuff with eye-catching thumbnails. Basically the exact opposite of what he had been making.
The worst. It's like studying for an exam your whole life, only to find out you've been studying for the wrong subject. Mm-hmm. What did he do? So he's basically fighting the algorithm, trying to figure out how to win. Mm-hmm. But then on top of that, there's something else he has to deal with. Something that I think a lot of creators, especially when they're just starting out, can relate to. Tech.
Tell me about it. The tech is a whole thing. You can't forget about the equipment. Senor Alex Fuel actually talks about this. When he was first starting out, he had, and this is a direct quote, a tin can mic.
Oh, 100%.
Which, let's be real, that's basically a rite of passage for anyone who's ever recorded themselves, like ever.
You're so focused on the content itself, what you're playing, how you're going to edit it, and then you listen back, and it sounds like you're in a wind tunnel.
And the thing is, having good audio, especially on a platform like YouTube, it's not just a nice bonus, it can really make or break you.
For sure. Mm-hmm. People are used to a certain level of, like, I don't know, I guess you could say polish. Mm-hmm. And if they click on a video and the audio is bad, they're just going to click away. It's that simple.
It's true. It's true. It's like if you were watching a video, right, but it was super blurry and pixelated, you wouldn't watch it. So yeah, audio is just as important as video. But you know what? Senor Alex Fuel, he's adaptable. He figured that out pretty quickly, upgraded his mic, and started really paying attention to the sound quality.
Yeah.
Because he knew that if he wanted to actually stand a chance, he had to improve his game. Literally.
And then it's not enough. He decides to try a whole other thing, Twitch streaming, which In my opinion, that's a whole other beast.
Oh, absolutely. Talk about a totally different world. I mean, on YouTube, you have that luxury of editing. If you mess up, it's fine.
You can fix it later. Yep.
On Twitch, it's just you, live, for better or worse.
Yeah.
No safety net.
So much pressure. And not only that, the audience is different too, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot more about that live interaction, that community aspect.
Exactly. It's about that instant connection. And honestly, that's one of the big things that really appealed to Senor Alex Fuel, that sense of community, that back and forth with the viewers. He really wanted to build something fun and positive, just a place where people could play games, chat, and hang out. And for a while, it was exactly that. But as his Twitch channel started to grow, that's when things changed.
Because, well, a larger audience means more often than not, you start to attract the, let's call it the darker side of the internet. It's like there's some kind of rule, right? The bigger your audience grows, the bigger a target they put on you. I don't know why it is, but that's just how it seems to work online.
It's so true. Senor Alex Fuel, I mean, he just wanted to create something positive. He says it right from the start that building a good community was important to him.
Which, good for him.
And it was. For a while, it was exactly what he'd hoped for.
Yeah.
But as his channel grew, that's when he started to see the other side of it. The trolls, the mean comments, even people specifically targeting him, harassing him.
God, I can't even imagine. You put all this effort in, right? You're just trying to share something you love with the world.
Right.
And then there are people who just want to tear you down.
And it was hard on him. He actually talks about how it felt like this constant uphill battle. Like, no matter what he did, he'd always be on guard, having to sift through all this negativity. It got so bad that it started to affect his mental health. He even says it started to ruin gaming for him.
It's easy to forget sometimes that behind every username, every avatar, every comment you see online, there's a real person there.
Yeah.
And what you say, even if you think you're being anonymous or whatever, it has real-world consequences.
I think that's something a lot of people forget, or maybe they just don't care. But it's true. And for content creators, people who are putting themselves out there, sharing something they're passionate about, it's got to be even harder to deal with that kind of negativity, especially when it feels like it's nonstop. So anyway, Senor Alex Fuel, he had to figure out what to do about all this. How do you even deal with that?
Right. What can you even do?
Well, in a move that honestly took a lot of courage, he made a choice. A really big choice.
Okay.
He deleted his channel.
Seriously, he deleted them. Both of them.
Both of them. Gone. He said deleting YouTube and Twitch felt terrifying, but at the same time, like a huge weight had been lifted off his shoulders.
Wow, that's something else. I mean, good for him.
Right.
But did he ever go back to making content? Or did he just walk away completely after that?
Well, he took some time for himself to figure things out, you know?
Yeah.
Get recentered. But then he did something really interesting.
Okay, now I have to know.
He started a podcast.
See, I was hoping you'd say that.
Right. And this podcast is called the StoryFuel Podcast. And he's talked about how it gave him a way to go back to what he loved, connecting with people and telling stories.
Yeah.
But this time he could do it his way, you know.
Without all the pressure.
Exactly. No more algorithm to worry about, no more trolls in the chat, no more negativity he had to deal with 24/7. Just him making the content he wanted to make.
It's like he went through something awful, but he came out stronger on the other side.
He really did. And I think that's why his story is so important for anyone to hear, especially if you're a content creator or even thinking about becoming one. What Senor Alex Fuel's story really teaches us is that even if you love something, if it's toxic, sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is walk away. And that's hard. It's really hard, especially if it's something you're passionate about. But you have to know your own self-worth.
It's about knowing when to set boundaries.
Exactly. And it's knowing that taking care of yourself, your well-being, that comes first. Always.
That's so important.
And you know what? There's always more than one way to share your passions with people.
So is gaming content creation a blessing or a curse? Having gone through his story, it seems like it's honestly a little bit of both.
I'd have to agree. On the one hand, you have the chance to be creative, to connect with people, and even to earn some money. But on the other, you have huge challenges, the potential for things to go really badly, and a really dark side that you can't just ignore.
It definitely makes you think about all the stuff we see online, all the videos, the streams, the podcasts. We forget sometimes that there are real people behind all of it, real people with real stories and struggles and triumphs.
Hopefully, hearing a story like this will make us all a little bit more mindful about how we act online, a little more empathetic.
Yeah, a little kinder.
A little more supportive of the creators who make the things we enjoy.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So I guess the next time you're about to hit that subscribe button, remember that there's a human on the other side of the screen. You never know what they went through to get where they are today. And on that note, this has been an amazing deep dive. Until next time.